We'd like to welcome you to the Heart Leader Podcast, where heart and mind align. I'm your host, Amber, and I'm here with co-host Austin, and we'd like to know, do you have a passion to make a greater global impact? Are you ready to embrace leading with heart and love? If so, join us on this journey to become heart leaders who change the world. Each episode brings heart-centered connection, building stronger relationships, communities, and businesses. Let's take a deeper dive into what it means to be heart leaders. The Heart Leader Podcast starts now. Hi, and welcome to the Heart Leader Podcast, where heart and mind align. I am your host, Amber, and today I am so grateful to be joined once again by Dr. Rosie Kuhn. Dr. Kuhn has such a breadth and depth of experience and knowledge in human transformation. She's been doing this for over 40 years, and she has so kindly agreed to bring that depth of knowledge and share it with our Suivera community and help us build out our Heart Leader program and offer that wisdom through so many different avenues. And one of those avenues in particular is our theme this month, and that's in the area of self-love. So you're going to be able to learn so much about Dr. Kuhn through the Suivera programs and the Heart Leader programs, but I encourage you to check out all of her personal links because her website, her YouTube channel, her own areas have such a breadth and depth of knowledge that you could spend days out there. So let's not talk about her anymore. Let's talk to her. Dr. Kuhn, thank you for being here. Rosie, you are just a light, and I am thankful that you're here, especially talking about self-love.
Thank you, Amber. Me too. This is really fun. Always fun to be with you and Austin. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Now, talking about your experience and your depth of knowledge, especially in the area of self-love, you have some pretty amazing transformational programs that you've put together. And I've had the opportunity to now soak in a lot of that knowledge, just going through some of these courses. But outside of that, I've had the opportunity to get to know you, to personally get to know you. And this isn't something that you're just doing for the sake of it's a job or a career for you. This is part of your DNA. It's part of what sparks your light and is your passion. So can you help me understand what pulls you in this direction? What is this pull that is within you to help these individuals like myself and others really get to that heart of who they are and navigate through transformation in this way?
Big question.
It is a huge question.
And I think that as for most, I'll say practitioners or clinicians, people who do work with other people, most of the time it comes from that place of personal experience where I'll just say for me, I lacked the visibility. I didn't get seen, heard, or gotten as a kid, basically. I grew up in a large family, lots of chaos, lots of dysfunction, lots of stuff. And there wasn't a place where I could really feel seen or felt or heard or gotten. And so I felt that emptiness. And part of my truth will be or is that I want to allow, support, and empower other people to experience that shift from emptiness to fullness and fulfillment from the inside out. And coming from a place of that emptiness, meant that I came from a place of self-hatred, really, and self-loathing, because I felt so empty, and I made it about me. It must be me that is so unworthy and undeserving that I just hated myself because I couldn't figure out how to be loved and seen and gotten. And so the whole work of becoming a therapist came out of that emptiness, even in terms of marriage, the emptiness within my marriage. Like I couldn't get myself seen. And I'm sure my husband felt the same way, because we were in our 20s, really young and very not wise, if you know, truly. And so we couldn't get seen. And so that separated, and I started getting therapy, and then realizing, wow, somebody's actually seeing me. Someone's actually seeing me. And that began to cultivate that capacity and that wisdom and the wonder and the drive and the calling to support and empower and see other people and get other people. So they get like, wow, somebody gets me. Somebody sees me and knows that, so that it becomes not only okay, but it becomes something that is in essence lovable and worthy of love, regardless of how crazy or insane or dysfunctional it appears. So that's sort of the long answer of it. But coming from, and I think this is true for most people who are working with other people, is we have a lack within ourselves that we're trying to fill. And in so learning to fulfill ourselves, we are then serving and supporting others to do the same.
I love the vulnerability and transparency in that, because ultimately it does speak to the fact that it always starts within too, right? So if we're not willing to be, as therapists, practitioners, any of these things, if we're going to be in service to someone else, the first person we have to start being in service of is ourselves.
Yeah.
And that speaks directly to the self-love, right?
Yeah.
We can't pretend like we've got it all together for the sake of appearance that we've got it all together.
Yeah. And that's, you know, it's part of self-love to come to a place of going, hey, look at me, I'm doing something great. But that can be a facade in a sense, like, hey, it feels good to do this, but there's something else that's lacking in me. There's something else that's not being seen. And those things show up when it's like, why can't I get a husband? Why can't I get enough money? Why can't my career take off? Why can't my health be better? And it 99.9% of the time comes down to some level of a lack of self-love and appreciation. I wrote a blog that I think will get posted on Svivera at some point. And it's in the title is Stop Trying to Like Yourself.
Yes.
And it came out of a conversation with a client of mine who is 400 pounds and brilliant and wonderful and sensitive and just an amazing human being. And he's out of integrity with himself. He doesn't value himself. He doesn't respect himself. He is out of, when I say he's out of integrity, he says he'll do something and he doesn't do it. So mean what you say and say what you mean. So at the end of one of our sessions, very end of the session, he said, so why don't I like myself? And I said, stop trying to like yourself. And it's like, if that flies in the face of all the self-help, right? Stop trying to like yourself. Start by noticing where you are out of integrity with yourself. Where are you lying to yourself? Where are you denying or avoiding or distracting yourself from your own knowing, your own experience, your own sensations? And that was one of the conversations this fellow had. I'll call him Matt. He's like, I don't want to feel what it feels like to be me. So I eat so much so I can feel that discomfort of a distended stomach and my sugar levels are out. I'd rather feel that than feel myself. Now that's that level of he's not having a relationship with himself. He's not having a connected relationship with himself. And that's where, in a sense, the difference between self-love and just self-acknowledgement is part of the practice, part of where we have to start. So rather than going, oh yeah, here's how you love yourself, it's like most of us can't stand ourselves. Most of us can't stand, like, oh my God, I hate how it feels to be me, or I can't stand to be me because I don't know how to do me. I don't know how to do this. I wish I was somebody else because she looks like she knows what she's doing. So I want to be her. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, this is where it begins, truly begins with this path to true self-love.
And I think there's so much to unpack in just what you said there, because sometimes we think self-love is just, oh, I think I'm wonderful. But often the most loving thing you can do for yourself is that level of self-honesty.
Yeah.
I don't like myself right now, and
Yeah.
that's okay. So let me be loving enough with myself. If I truly love, like I love Austin, and sometimes the most loving thing I can do for Austin is to be completely, kindly honest with him.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I do the same thing for myself? Because the only way that I can grow is to be fully honest with myself
That's right.
and accept the things that aren't working for me right now.
Yeah.
And they're not always going to be pretty, and they're not always going to feel good, but I'm not going to get through them if I don't dive into them.
Yeah. And dive in. And this is one of the things that Matt's saying to me. He's like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't. And you won't. And I don't. Every time I meet this circumstance that's challenging me, and every learning opportunity, every circumstance is a learning opportunity, and we hate that. But it's like, oh my God, here's another place I don't know how to do me. And it's like, that's right. And it's going to be this way because we are always evolving as a spiritual being and as a human being. I'm constantly, everything is changing and has been for a very long time. So we have to be more accepting as part of this self-appreciation that this is an evolution of always, an evolution of always. It's just going to be one thing after another. And but every time we grow ourselves and grow up level ourselves in our capacities, we let go of that more terrible, horrible, scary stuff where that total defenseless, invisible, pathetic elements, they dissipate and they're not so much a part of us. But it's the constancy, and we go, God, I must be something wrong with me. I hate myself again because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. And we don't, and never will. And we have to love ourselves through that, appreciate ourselves through that.
Exactly. And love the process.
Love the process, even though you hate it. You
Exactly.
love to hate it. Right?
Love hate. It's a love-hate relationship.
You hate to love it and you love to hate it. So it's just what it is. It's just that isness. And it's part of that growing the capacity to understand the preciousness of this existence, because we go from that place of, a place of no identity or no sense of self. Oh, I'll get my sense of self by being a mother. I'll get my sense of self by being a therapist. I'll get my sense of self by writing books or being on YouTube. I'll get my sense of self from, and it's like, you get to a point you go, well, that didn't work, or I'll have a breast uplift or a face lift or whatever it is that's going to give you a sense of something. And it's like, well, that didn't work, or losing 100 pounds. Well, that didn't work either. Or, stop drinking. That, like, when these things don't work, it's like, well, what's the point? And the point is, you love yourself. You learn to appreciate that. Look at what you did to get through that losing 100 pounds, or look at what you got through to do a YouTube channel or write a book. Look at what occurred for you in you as you did that. And I'm talking a lot, but one of the most important things, Amber, that I did for myself, this was maybe 10 or 15 years ago, that I was in a deep spiritual immersion process where it's like, when you're in one of these things, you just don't know even who you are. You just you have a sense of what's the point of all of this, and what's the value of this existence, and all of those big, big questions. But I found myself that one thing that was really helpful was, before I went to bed, is to acknowledge 10 things that I did during the day. So, I mean, a lot of people won't do that. They'll go, oh, that's ego or whatever. It's like, yeah, no, a lot of us won't do that because we can't. We're afraid, and it's part of that self-loathing element, rather than saying, hey, just tell me 10 things that you did today. Okay, I brushed my teeth. I did the laundry. I took the dog for a walk. Like, these are just things. But if we acknowledge we did them, we begin to fluff off some of that self-deprecation. And self-deprecation is the major cause of depression. Every time we say something negative about ourselves, oh, I did the laundry, but I only did half of it. Or I did the laundry, but my husband's shirt got wrinkled. It's like the buts we get in. And I talk about this in the program I did on Sudera called Inward Bound Bootcamp for Self-Transformation. It's like, here's the positive, here's what I did, but, and that's just negativizes that process. So when we can say, here's 10 things I did, we begin to acknowledge ourselves. And then it's what's 10 things that or 5 things I can respect myself for. So that was the next step that was more difficult to say, what are 5 things that I respect myself for? And I couldn't. And this is where so many of us are starting from. We want, hey, yeah, self-love, give me the answer. And it's like, stop trying to love yourself. Notice where you don't trust or respect yourself, what you're doing, because we can be unconditionally loving, but the people that we really grow to love are people that we see who are in integrity. They keep their word. We trust them. We feel safe with them.
Yes.
And when we go, I don't trust myself, even though if you did a Google search or you went on my website, you'd see all these amazing things that I did, and would make sense that I would trust myself and feel safe with myself. But the inner me has never, or is now learning to experience that. But that inner me didn't have that sense of self-respect and self-trust, even though I could be that for the world, we'll say. So it's like, wow, how do I change that relationship here? And it's not by, it's all kinds of things. And it's not about me saying, hey, go do something nice for yourself, or stop doing this, or it's none of that stuff. It's like really being in this conversation where it's like, yes, I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you inside and respect this individual and trust and feel safe in my own life. I live at the end of a road, and it's but I live in the rural island world, and I'm safe here, but there's a part of me that's always like, am I safe? But it's like, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. Like, at what point do I admit and allow myself to actually settle into and relax into this truth that I am safe with myself, and that I can trust myself to take care of myself? Been doing it for 70 years, right? Been doing it a long time. But that part of me that says, oh no, I can't trust. These are the parts of ourselves that we need to be present to and acknowledge and go, yeah, I know I let you down. I let myself down for years and decades because I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
And that's why there's that self-hatred, because it's like, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't attending to me, to that part of me. I was attending to, what do you need? What do you want? How do I get that boyfriend?
Therapy, right? Relationship therapy internally. We focus so much on external relationship therapy if we're in a deep committed relationship.
That's right.
But the most committed relationship we should be in is the one with ourselves.
That's right.
And that's what I feel like I'm hearing in all that you're saying is relationships can be messy, but the one with ourselves is often the most up and down, because we've navigated our entire life with ourselves, right? We've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. And if we don't take that time to sit with it and forgive ourselves and honor ourselves and not rush through it and suppress it, or cover it up or put it in a closet or any of those other things, or even compare ourselves, which is something that you had mentioned in the beginning. Oh, their life must be put together. I wish I could be that person. Because in all honesty, we all have things. Every person has something going on in their life. And so if we wish what we have away and wish for what somebody else has, then we don't know what we would be gambling on. It's like high stakes in Vegas. We don't know what we would be taking on from someone else.
That's right. That's right. One of my favorite proverbs is if there was a tree and everybody's problems were in a bundle and tied to the tree, the wise man would choose his own. And because it's like, oh, I think I want to be Amber. And it's like, oh man, Amber's or any one of us has these issues that are yours. That's, we didn't come here. We came here to learn. We came here to grow. We came here to evolve as spiritual beings and to evolve our human race. We came here to do all of that. And if my curriculum is therapy or coaching, transformational coaching, but Austin's curriculum is, highway management. I don't want to do highway management. I want to do what I want to do, what's mine to do, what I came here to do. But sometimes it's like, oh, I should be doing highway management because he looks so good doing it. And it's like, yeah, no, but it doesn't feel right here. Doesn't feel right in my heart. It's like, yeah, but who cares about that? We want to look good. And those kinds of dilemmas will constantly come up for us. And we go, why? Why is that so hard? Or my dad wants me to be the doctor. He wants me to go to this school. Or my dad wants me to, and I don't want to. And why is it so hard for me to do what he wants me to do? Why is it so hard for me to be what my daughter wants me to be? It's like, because it's not mine. But these are the challenges, and these are the tests, if you will, where we're confronted to be honoring of ourselves versus honoring of what we think other people want us to be. And when we honor what other people think they want us to be, we're actually not honoring them. Does that make sense?
It does, because they don't get to know who you truly are.
They don't get to know who I am truly, but they don't get to be with their own stuff. They don't get to be with their stuff. They're being pissed off, non-accepting, feeling violated, betrayed, abandoned. Okay. They don't get to deal with that because I'm going to bail them out, actually.
Yes.
Nobody wins. Nobody wins when we enable or bail other people out. There is a consciousness of how you can do that in a way that everybody wins, but in a way that when we're enabling so other people don't have to feel bad or go through bad, or they're going to think I'm abandoning them, they miss out. They miss out on being abandoned or going through that process of healing their own issues that they came in with.
Yeah.
It's big stuff, and I was talking again to Matt, the client, and he's like, Rosie, you're just kind of throwing it in my face where I can't deny the truth of what you're saying is I am totally responsible for everything. And he said it in a way that he wasn't offended by what I said. He was just like, wow, you're actually speaking the truth, that I can't deny that everything that I'm created in my marriage and my family and my career, I did it. I'm responsible. Nobody else. It sucks. I go, yeah, it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
To take that on. But like you said, when you do and you honor, oh my God, I made so many mistakes in my life. And I totally and completely love myself, even though I made those mistakes. And coming to a place of what I deal with is that place where we hold unforgiveness versus forgiveness. Okay, because it's really hard to forgive. If I forgive, whatever those things are, but it's like, what do I get by remaining unforgiving? And then you weigh, it's like, wow, resentment. I get to hold on to my resentment. I get to hold on to righteousness. I get to hold on to control. But Do I get to love myself in that? No. Do I get to respect myself in that? No. Do I get to trust myself in that? No. What do you want? Big question. And if you want, well, I want self-respect, love, and appreciation, self-appreciation. Okay.
I
Do you want
love
it enough? Do you want it enough that you're willing to consider letting go of the stuff, self-hatred stuff that we're doing, self-deprecating stuff that we're doing? And I say we, because we're all doing it.
Yeah, there's empowerment and choice in that.
That's right. That's right.
Versus just hearing forgive yourself, which we hear a lot, but okay, first, how? I feel like I'm carrying the weight of it. So how do I just forgive myself? What you just said, okay, so sit in the unforgiveness, sit in what it means, weigh out what you gain from that. And if you don't feel like you're gaining something from that, then what choice do you have?
That's right.
That empowers you to make your own choice.
That's right. And if you choose, and I said this to Matt, if you choose to stay in a disempowering perspective, okay. And if you're not ready yet to make a different choice, just know you're not ready yet. And appreciate that at the same time that he's not ready to make this decision, he's making all of this phenomenal things that are occurring that he's doing while he can't let go of this. And this is true for so many of us. And that's the wonder for me of being a transformational coach or, life coaching, is we're sitting with people in these moments and they go, why can't I do this? It's like, well, you're probably not ready yet. And at the same time, look at what you're doing here. Look at what you're doing here. Look at how this is unfolding. And the life coach can, and therapists, everybody, spiritual guides, we can support and then hold you and go, look at how great you're doing, even though you feel like you suck. And that's what I love. It's like, you don't suck at all, but you're moving from the perception that I suck to actually revealing how precious your life is to you. It gets to be that rather than I'm going to make my life more precious.
Yeah.
It's already precious. It's just the unconcealing of that preciousness.
Yeah,
So,
the reprogramming and the
Yeah.
observation. Yeah. So you mentioned transformational coaching and transformation. And I know I get asked this a lot because I have transformational coach in my flow as well. People are like, what is a transformational coach? What is transformational coaching? I've heard of life coaching. I've heard of health coaching. What is a transformational coach? How would you sum up being a transformational coach? What
One of
is
my
it
favorite
that you do?
questions. Thank you for asking. We think transformation is about magic. Bada bing, bada boom. You're gonna come see me and I'm gonna wave my magic wand and poof, all your problems are gonna disappear. All that hard stuff is gonna go away and you're gonna have this paradigm shift. Ta-da! That doesn't happen, and we don't want it to happen, because if I were to deem you magically shifted, Amber, to that which you want, you would have no capacity to be in that new you. You'd show up and you go, what the F? Like, I don't know. I don't have any sense of, there's no context for that new you other than this is what you wanted. It's like the genie in the bottle and you say, what's your wish? And you become that, but you have no sense of how you got there and what to do with that.
Yeah.
So transformational coaching, a transformational coach, well, first of all, transformational coaching requires a paradigm shift, which means 99% of what we are consumed in and swim in is fear-based reality. Transformational coaching takes you from that paradigm and goes through a paradigm shift to this place where you are fearless. fearless. And you're in, you function from your essence. You're functioning from your desires and your fulfillment. So you wake up in the morning saying, what will fulfill me today? What is infinitely pleasing? How do I move in this direction? Not from, it can't happen, it's not possible, but from this place of course it's possible. And there's so much literature, so many videos, so much about the metaphysical and the quantum fields and all of these things where everything is possible. This is a long answer.
I love it. Just keep going.
So transformation is the moving through the process. Is really literally the caterpillar moving along, and at some point getting the urge to shift and transform and create this catalyst where it becomes basically a mush as it transforms and transmutes into this butterfly. That's a huge lot of energy and a lot of for the caterpillar. It just knows to do that. We would do that, and actually we do it on so many levels. Our body is constantly moving through this transformation from childhood to all of a sudden we're menstruating or having erections, or we begin to, and then menopause happen. Like these things just happen, and that's all transformation. But when we start to think about transformation, we go, "Ooh, I don't know how to do that," and it happens automatically if we allow it to. And if we can get beyond the fear-based orientation in life, life becomes much more easy because we're not afraid. But 99% of us are afraid. And that's why we hate ourselves, because like, well, he doesn't look like he's afraid, and he's as afraid as you are. You just don't realize because you're not in his body. But so a transformational coach is a steward supporting and empowering individuals through this process. And a transformational coach has the knowing of the paradigm that you're going towards. So transformational coaches who are fear-based, in essence, won't get you there because they're still operating within the context of fear. Transformational coaches have to, in my mind, have to know of this other paradigm, and not only know of it, but experience the truth of that, so that when whoever is working with a transformational coach and you come in, we'll say like Matt, and Matt goes, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what this is about. I go, yeah, I totally get it. And at the same time, when he's speaking, I can hear the part that already knows this, this transformational, this essence, this exquisite resonance and frequency with the higher vibrational him. It's exquisite. And so my job is to hold at both, hold him where he is in his fear, hold him where he is in his knowing, and help him feel and sense into all of that. So it's not such a terrible, horrible, scary thing, but it becomes a normal evolution of self. So one of the things, I'll say one more thing about this, when I'm working or start with a new client, and quite often I say to them on the phone or Zoom, and I say, okay, in our first meeting, I'm going to ask you what you want. Like, what do you want? And they say, well, I kind of want a better job. I kind of want more money. I kind of want this kind of want thing. Okay. And I go, okay, stop. I said, I want you to think of me as your fairy godmother. This is my magic wand. And right now, I have the power to empower you to have whatever it is you want. Now, as I'm saying that, Amber, you can see as you're doing, they light up and they go, wow, I'm with my fairy godmother. This is with men and women, we'll do this. Wow, and something shifts and transforms in that moment. And they go from, well, I kind of want what I think I can have, to what I really want is this red Tesla sports car. What I really want is to live in Atlanta, Georgia, where I can study blah, 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 and have access to what I really want is, and this happens. There's no fear in the conversation. There's no fear in the presence of the individual. And this is who they are. This is the essential nature and the divine expression. This is it. And that's my job, is to bring everyone into this level of divine natural, essential expression that we each came in here to have for ourselves and to share with the world. And that's what lights me up every morning.
And it shows. And where I have immense gratitude is that we now, through Suivera, have had this amazing opportunity to bring that through and to our community. And the Inward Bound course that you mentioned that you're making available through our organization has already gotten rave reviews.
Nice.
I mean, feedback has just been nothing but glowing. So can you talk a little bit about what that course is and what you're offering through it?
Well, the intention is it's a basic training. Okay. It's just the boot camp for self-transformation. So for me, it's the elements of what it takes to move oneself through a transformational process. It's the elements so that people can get familiar with what is it, what's required. Here's where it gets sticky. Here's where it gets exciting. Here's where it sucks, right? So there's 21 videos. I think there's more, but basically there's 21 videos of me saying, hey, here's what we're talking about today. And that place of what it's really like to be in the metamorphosis stage, what it's really like when we can't stand how it feels, how uncomfortable it is, what it's really like when we oh my God, I'm soaring, I've got wings, or I'm excited because I have the idea and I'm not feeling afraid in this moment, those kinds of things. So it's the real reality from my perspective, of a transformational process. It's not like when you come through it, maybe you'll have a transformational experience. And even every revelation we have, every insight we have contributes to that transcendence and transformative element. Like, wow, I do feel that butterfly element, or that essence of myself coming through. And so it's that ability to begin to recognize this process. Even the first 2 days, I think, are the best in a sense. The first one is, hey, what do you want? Again, if I'm your fairy godmother, and my job is to empower you to have whatever it is you want. What is that? What's infinitely pleasing for you? And it gives you room to go, here's what I really want. I really want that red Tesla. I really want 3 children. I really want that fuzzy dog that's, I really want in that desire is in the heart. And then the next day is the yes, but, what if, and if onlys. So it's like, I really want that dog. Okay. But what if, or if only it didn't cost $1,200, all of those, or yes, but I really want that dog. Yes, but I've already got a dog. It's like all of the things that takes our wonder and wonderfulness and desire in our essential expression of self. And the next moment it's like, yeah, but I really can't do that. I really can't have that. That negativity shows up. And our ability to just notice that, wow, I didn't even, and this happens a lot. My client will be like in this moment, and within a split second, they're down into the yes buts. And I go, stop. You didn't even give yourself one moment, one breath of how wonderful that was before you kind of pooped on yourself with that. Yes, but I can't have it. And so that in itself is can be very transformative for people and revelatory to go, yes, I never let myself have a more than 2 seconds of that amazingness and desire of fulfillment before I start to yes, but, what if, and onlys, and if onlys. Those 3 words are just, there's more, but those are the basics of what gets in our way of transformation. It's not really possible. Nobody else is doing it. It's like everybody's doing it. We're just doing it secretly because we don't want to be found out.
Yeah. And it is amazing how much that self-talk lends to our ability to create our experience.
That's right.
And so that's some of the feedback we've actually gotten, is how that peels back the layers for those who are going through this course. It's like every module is like peeling back another layer, or like aha moments.
Yep.
And so,
We
and
don't,
think about it, this is foundational for you. So imagine where they can go.
and we just don't, we don't realize the power of what we're creating always. And every single circumstance that's in our life is a reflection of our perception of self. Every single way that, you know, the amount of money we're making, the degree of health, the, you know, where we live, all of those things is a reflection of the self respect, integrity, levels of wisdom that we have created thus far. And if, when we look at it, we can go, wow, look at what I've created, rather than, oh my God, look what I created. But look at what you've created, whether it's, you know, the most fulfilling, exciting thing in the world or the worst, you created that. We each have created this circumstance. And my truth is that people who get cancer, people who have horrible, terrible things happen to them, is an extremely amazing experience where they get to explore who they are beyond what they ever imagined, and where they can really learn who they are, as opposed to hating themselves more because they got cancer and that must mean they're, you know, bad people or wrong people or whatever. It's like, no, you have an opportunity. We each have an opportunity through the worst of the worst of the worst to explore who is in here and how they got there, and what could be possible, potentially, what possible. So much, you know, I love talking. You probably didn't know that. I love talking about it.
We love talking with you about it.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful opportunity for exploration. And that's why having you on for this topic, self-love, you have such a depth of a lens on it, because we talk to many others and they have an amazing perspective. And even myself, like, my view on self-love is a little different than yours. So I was able to get such a different perspective from you in the area of self-love, and learn, like, yes, 100%, we need to go into the ugly and be willing to just examine it from all angles, because in truth, there is no ugly.
That's right.
We might call it ugly, but that's perspective.
That's right.
There is a way to learn from the most unfortunate, what we would call ugly, what we would call depressing situations. But all of that is a learning opportunity depending on what we choose to take from it.
That's right. That's right.
We can still have self-love through that. It depends on how we carry self.
That's right.
And it's about being honest with ourselves, not covering it up, getting in there and just getting through it.
Yep.
And when we started having our discussions about it, and you're like, don't candy coat it, don't make it like rainbows and butterflies, just be it, be real.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
so important.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, until you're in it, you don't even know it. So for instance, I'm trying to think of an example that was just like yesterday, right? The example of these places where I'm stuck. So any circumstance that you're in where you are in a conflict with yourself, it's the element of love or self-love is one of the elements of it. And the degree to which I am in alignment with my desire to, and self-love as in integrity and honoring and respect, that kind of self-love, not the self-love of, oh, I think I'll have a glass of wine with my dinner and that kind of stuff, like the fluffy stuff, but that level of self-respect and honoring of me. And any conflict that I come into, whether it's with money or my job or my place that I live, or with, it doesn't matter. I am in this conversation where self-love is one of the options. It's like, where am I not in alignment with myself in this conflict? And again, coming back to Matt, he's like, I need to talk to my wife about this, and as if she is the part of the conflict that he's having, but I don't know how and I don't know when. And by the end of time, when we got done talking, it was obvious that he was still in conflict with himself. So he cannot have yet that conversation with somebody outside of himself until he comes into this self-honoring, self-respecting conversation with himself, where he knows his truth. And that's the dilemma that every single one of us faces when we're facing a health issue or a relationship issue, whether it's with our children or with our partners or with our work or money. It comes down to this level of self-honoring and self-alignment. And we can't know it until we're there. And I can't tell you how it's like getting out the tweezers. The thing is so subtle, but it's like, wow, there it is. That's the self-love where I'm missing it, right? And until we're in there and we go, what is, if, let's say people who are watching this and they get off and they go, what if Rosie and Amber, what if they're true? What is it what piece of self ignoring or self-distracting or self-disrespect am I holding on to here? It's like, maybe I could look at that. It's a great way of getting into this conversation, because otherwise it just feels really overwhelming with a ton of words. But even yesterday I was, I've got my own fears around money, and it's like, I don't have enough. But the tithing thing, you should tithe. And when you can tithe and the money's there, then the money will come and all that stuff. And it's like, I have this fear that if I begin that process, I won't have enough. It's like, you got to stop that, right? You got to stop that.
Yeah.
And so I have to have that conversation with myself. The truth of this. So this is a conversation with myself. The truth of this. Are you going to honor your truth, or are you going to keep living in the paradigm of fear? And so it's like, okay, I'm going to do it. And so I called my friend who's part of an organization, and I said, I'm going to start donating just $10 a month, as that's the beginning of my therapy, if you will, the beginning of the practice of letting go of that fear and going, oh, I can do that. I could. And then 2 months from now going, oh, I could do $25 an hour a month, in building that capacity of my capacity to respect and honor my spiritual principles, my principles of knowing. This is a knowing in the universe. It's part of the knowing, but our fear-based mind says, no, you got to hold on. It's like, this is one of those moments as an example of where I'm dishonoring my own truths for the sake of the fear, and going, how long do you want to do that? It's not working to live in that fear, regardless of whether the money comes or not, is not the point. Do I live in fear, or do I live in integrity? So those kinds of dilemmas are where we face that level of self-appreciation, self-respect, self-honoring, and in that then grows that capacity to really self-love from that evolution, from I'm acknowledging myself to I'm respecting myself to I honor myself to, wow, I really feel a great sense of love. So it's a growing thing, as opposed to, oh yeah, just I'll wave my magic wand and you'll just feel love and that'll be great. It'll be with you forever.
Lucky me.
Lucky you.
Wave the wand. I'm so happy. So you had mentioned with Matt, he felt this push from the outside, right? His wife. And sometimes we allow external forces to really weigh on us and pull really from our own knowing of self. Or in your view, how much do external forces really play a part in either pulling away from self-love or from the flip side, because we like to always say, oh, it's outside of us, right? Because then it's easier. It's not me, it's out there.
That's right.
So we flip it and we always allow that to be the case, or it's a distraction, right? So if I allow that external to be a distraction, but there is something to be said for like media always surrounding us and putting a reflection toward us, or schools, or, you know, social influences. From your perspective, what is the impact of that external to internal? And what advice would you give to kind of flip that script and not let that be what your direction is, the external to internal, but make it more the internal to the external?
Well, it's why I asked the question, Amber, the first question whenever I'm working with a person, what is it you want? And, you know, again, with Matt, it's like, he's having this conflict and I should tell my wife, or I, you know, or not, or whatever the conflict is. It's like, it doesn't matter any of that stuff until we say, what is it you want? And it inevitably will come down to, I want to appreciate myself. I want to honor that my calling is to do this. I want that, or I want that red Tesla. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like, I want to honor that I'm articulating, here's what I want. Okay. So first of all, wanting what you want, knowing, articulating, here's what I want. Number two, you want it enough that nothing else matters. When we get to a point where self-respect and self-integrity and alignment is the most important thing, then we begin to use, in terms of recovery process, we start to get sober. We start to notice where we go, I say I want this, but I just want to have my comfort food, or I just want to have that, or I just want to game, or so we want, say what we want, and we want it enough that we can start the process. And we begin to let go of that stuff, whatever that stuff is, those conversations, or the way that we avoid, ignore, and distract. The addiction is to the avoiding, distracting, and ignoring. It's not the food, the substance, the gaming, the social. It's that we are trying to avoid something within ourselves, that scary place that we don't know how to do or be with. So the more that it's not until people say, here's what's important to me enough, then that they're willing to then step into that. Because the conflicting commitment is, I want what I want. This is the dilemma with transformation is, I want what I want, but I don't want to suffer. And I don't want to let go of what I've got. So people want a change in their marriage, but they're not willing to do anything different. I just want my husband to change, and then I get everything I want, and he's going to be happy too, because I'm going to be happy. Okay. But because we don't want to do the change element. But until we're clear about, I want this, and I want it enough, then the elements just start to change. And truly, even though it's difficult and scary and uncomfortable, you get that the unfolding brings you what you truly want. But you have to want it enough to begin to just to be able to say, hey, I want this enough. So for Matt to say, hey, I want this enough in my body and my soul and my spirit, I want it enough that I'm willing to sit with my own discomfort. I don't even have to talk to my wife. I just have to be with myself in this. That's the beginning. That's the beginning. And that was such an exquisite moment in our conversation, because it's like, it's not about his wife. His wife may never, ever know the process he's going through. And their marriage may just end up being on this unfolding, beautiful process without her even ever knowing, I don't know, but that's a possibility.
Yeah.
And we don't know until we align ourselves with, here's what I want enough.
And it'll be beautiful. So Rosie, How can people find you? Now, obviously they can go to suivera.org and you're going to be all over our stuff, but how can they get directly to you?
They can get directly, you guys can get directly to me on Google. You can just Google me, Rosie Kuhn or Dr. Rosie Kuhn, Kuhn, or my website is theparadigmshift.com. You can also find my books on Amazon. One of my favorite books is Self-Empowerment 101. And one of the most recent books is called I've Arrived. Well, sort of. And it's about this process of, you feel like you've gotten to these enlightened stages and steps, and it feels so wonderful. And then you realize there's the next step. And it's a playful, small, little thought of the day kind of book that's kind of fun to see. So lots of books on Amazon as well.
That's amazing.
And YouTube as well. Yeah.
We will make sure your YouTube link, your book links to Amazon, how they can get to theparadigmshifts.com, and where they can get to your course. And all of your amazing stuff is available on our links. So if they're watching this and not listening to it, then they can click below. But if they're listening, then a quick Google search of your name will get them to all of these amazing things too.
That's right.
So
that's fun. Yeah.
Thank you for being with us. I love you beyond measure. And I just so grateful for you.
I got you. It's such a gift to be with you and Austin.
Yay. And thank you all so much for joining us on another episode of the Heart Leader podcast, where heart and mind align. Don't forget, we have a wonderful tool available for you through the Heart Leader Toolbox. It is all around self-love and really diving into that super skill that is around self-love. And that course that Rosie mentioned is also available, and it can help you through the transformation, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. It is available, and you can find that out on suivera.org. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you in the Suivera community.